China's unprecedented decision to ban Nvidia chips has sent a shockwave across the world. And while at first glance it may seem like a technical trade dispute, the reality is far deeper, far more dramatic, and filled with twists that will shape the future of artificial intelligence, global economics, and even geopolitical balance. Nvidia, once simply a graphics card company for gamers, has transformed into the undisputed leader of the artificial intelligence revolution, producing GPUs that are not just powerful but almost indispensable to every major breakthrough in machine learning, robotics, healthcare, finance, and beyond. And losing access to such technology is not a small inconvenience. It is the equivalent of cutting off fuel to a rocket ship just as it prepares for launch. For years, Chinese tech companies, research labs, and AI startups have been heavily dependent on Nvidia's hardware, buying millions of dollars worth of GPUs to power everything from speech recognition systems to smart city surveillance, from autonomous vehicles to the advanced AI algorithms used in logistics, banking, and military research. By pulling the plug and banning these chips, China is essentially forcing itself into a sink or swim moment, a challenge that could either cripple its short-term ambitions or ignite a wave of domestic innovation, unlike anything the world has seen before. To understand why this is such a monumental move, you have to first understand just how powerful Nvidia has become. Their GPUs are the crown jewels of AI. Without them, most of the massive models we see today, like ChatGPT, Google's Bard, or Meta's generative AI, would either run painfully slowly or not at all, because traditional CPUs simply cannot handle the parallel processing tasks that GPUs excel at. And Nvidia has been perfecting this craft for decades, refining architectures, building software ecosystems like CUDA, and creating an almost insurmountable moat around its technology. In short, Nvidia is not just a company, it's the engine room of the AI revolution. So why would China willingly cut itself off from that? The answer lies in a mix of necessity, politics, and long-term strategy. For years, China has feared overdependence on American technology, especially as tensions between Washington and Beijing escalate. Each time the United States imposes export restrictions or sanctions, whether on Huawei's telecom equipment, TikTok's data handling, or semiconductor technology, China is reminded that reliance on U.S. companies is a vulnerability. By banning Nvidia, China is taking a painful but deliberate step towards severing this dependency, forcing its domestic companies to rely on local chipmakers like Huawei, Buren, or Combricon, even if those chips are less advanced right now. This is not unlike ripping off a bandage. It hurts, it bleeds, but it forces healing from within. The immediate effect of this ban, however, will not be smooth. Chinese startups working on large-scale AI models suddenly find themselves without the hardware they need, and replicating Nvidia's performance is no small task. Imagine trying to build a skyscraper but being denied access to steel. You can attempt alternatives, but it slows everything down and makes the task far more complex. For now, many of these companies may fall behind their Western counterparts, who continue to train gigantic AI models on Nvidia's latest and most powerful GPUs. But Beijing seems willing to accept this short-term slowdown for the sake of long-term independence. And this is where the story gets even more interesting. Could this actually backfire? On one hand, cutting off Nvidia may stifle innovation in China temporarily, but on the other, it could also light a fire under its domestic chip industry, driving billions in government investment, incentivizing researchers, and creating a race to build alternatives. History has shown that when China is locked out of foreign technology, it often doubles down and eventually produces its own version, sometimes even surpassing the original. The telecommunications battle is a perfect example. Huawei went from being dismissed as a low-quality manufacturer to becoming a global 5G leader despite facing crushing U.S. restrictions. The same could happen in chips, but this time the stakes are even higher because semiconductors are the backbone of every modern technology. For Nvidia, this ban is both a threat and an opportunity. On the surface, losing the Chinese market means losing billions in revenue, and Wall Street investors are already watching nervously, wondering how much this could hurt the company's explosive growth. But Nvidia is not just any tech company. It has become so essential to the global AI boom that demand for its chips far outstrips supply, and every major tech company from Silicon Valley to Europe to the Middle East is desperate to buy whatever it can produce. In fact, some analysts believe that China's ban could actually tighten global demand, making Nvidia's chips even more scarce and more valuable everywhere else. Still, it highlights how vulnerable even the biggest tech companies can be to geopolitical shifts, where a single government decision can wipe out access to an entire market overnight. And that's why this isn't just about Nvidia. It's about the future of the global technology order. Chips are the new oil, the resource that determines power in the digital age, and whoever controls the fastest, smartest, most efficient chips effectively controls the future of artificial intelligence, automation, surveillance, and even military superiority. Governments know this, companies know this, and that's why the fight over semiconductors has become the new battleground of the 21st century. For ordinary people, this might seem far away, but the truth is the effects will eventually reach everyone. Think about your phone, your car, your streaming services, your smart assistants, your workplace software. Everything relies on chips, and shortages or restrictions can make products more expensive, delay innovations, or even change which technologies dominate the market. If China falls behind in AI because of this ban, American companies could gain an even stronger lead, shaping the future of AI tools, platforms, and services you use every day. Conversely, if China succeeds in creating its own powerful chips, we could see a split digital world with parallel ecosystems of American-led AI and Chinese-led AI, each competing for global influence. And this competition won't just be technological, it will be political, economic, and cultural. Because AI isn't just about machines, it's about the values and priorities embedded in them. Some skeptics argue that China may have underestimated just how hard it will be to replicate Nvidia's dominance, pointing out that even major chipmakers in other countries struggle to match Nvidia's pace. Building world-class semiconductors requires not just factories, but access to cutting-edge lithography machines, advanced materials, top-tier engineering talent, and decades of trial-and-error innovation. Yet, others counter that China has an unmatched ability to mobilize resources at scale, invest billions into strategic industries, and attract global talent with generous incentives, meaning that the gap could close faster than many expect. In either case, what's undeniable is that this ban signals a turning point. The era of globalization, where companies freely traded and bought the best technology regardless of borders, is giving way to a new era of technological nationalism, where countries treat chips as matters of national security, not just commerce. For viewers like you, this story might seem abstract, but remember that every innovation you will see in the next decade, from smarter healthcare diagnostics to more immersive entertainment, from futuristic cars to climate change solutions, will depend on the outcome of this battle. Will China's bans slow its progress and give American companies an unshakable lead? Or will it trigger the birth of a new generation of Chinese chips that rival Nvidia and reshape the global order? Nobody knows for sure, but one thing is clear. The fight for semiconductors is the fight for the future, and China's bold move to ban Nvidia is only the opening salvo in a much larger war for technological supremacy that will affect us all.